Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and there's Bob. Broken man that he is, covered in scars, still a drunk. But he's beaten the game, and he is level 47, just barely. After I beat the game, I went and unlocked as many settlements as I could, and set up as many supply lines as I could without actually violating the level 47 limit. I'm out of character today for this last monthly tour, and I have very little building to show you, mostly empty shacks that I couldn't afford to decorate because I kept having crash problems here. But there it is, Starlight City, it's done, and I am just so pleased that I actually could not find a vantage point anywhere inside or outside of this place where I could actually see the entire thing all in one view. So yeah, we got the trifecta ending, which is the hardest one to get. It's the one where there's a truce between the Brotherhood of Steel and the Railroad and the Minutemen, and the Institute is destroyed. Now, while I take a tour of the outside of the walls here, first let me say thanks a lot to Local 4-Pack for setting up the challenge. I know it had to be a lot of work to do those weekly reminder videos, set up the weekly playlists, and all the other things that he has done as far as promoting the challenge and lifting the other challengers up and just generally running what has been a ton of fun. And if you have never done something like this for yourself, even if you don't do it for YouTube, I would say I highly recommend trying something like this. I don't know about you, but I have always done all of my building after the game is complete. I'll play the whole game and then I'll build just for something to do after I'm done with the game. And that's too bad, because I have robbed myself of some of the great experiences that I've had around here. For example, one of my favorite moments in all of Fallout 4 was I needed a shipment of wood, and I was able to come over here to the Bunker Hill Traders that I had just built and sell some purified water from the water purifier that I built and get the shipment of wood that I needed without ever leaving. And it felt great. It was a nice roleplay moment and doing something in-game with my settlement that I had never done before. It was awesome. So thanks again to Loco for setting everything up. So as we just kind of take a gander at this place, let's check off all of the things that were required for the challenge. The first was that we had to get all 6 of the different shop types up to level 3. I've actually gone ahead and exceeded that a little bit because I have gotten them all to level 4. I got all of the unique traders except for Tina DeLuca, who bugged out on me, unfortunately, and that's a fairly common bug, and Trader Riley, and I just never got around to getting up to Longneck Lukowski's. We have to have full defenses, and right now in the normal mode, Starlight City has a defense value of 152, I think. We'll double check and show all the stats here. Yes, so we've got 22 people, 30 food, 49 water, 320 power, 152 defense. And a lot more beds than we need. I'll get to that. When I hit this panic button, it will in fact boost that defense value at the expense of water. Now, that was something that I role-played in depth throughout the course of my build here, that power was a problem for them. And we can see that now that we're in defense mode, we're at defense 209. Now, I have enough power now to run everything simultaneously, but it was actually more trouble than it was worth to go rip all of that stuff out. So what else did we have to have? We had to have food and water, and I just showed we had 30 food, 49 water, 22 settlers. I actually had up to 40 settlers here, but the extra people, especially, so I had planned to have 18 Minuteman soldiers here that were armed in full combat armor and had improved weapons and all that stuff. And it turned out that that was just too much. Once I moved those people in, the game would crash within 30 seconds of me approaching Starlight. So I had to move them out. We had to have a scavenging station. I've got multiple scavenging stations, but most of them are like little animation mats. For example, Anna usually stands down there sweeping the floor of the workshop, but we do have an actual scavenging station that is normally manned by Kelly. She was one of the first settlers that I got. And we have to have at least one guard. I've got multiple guards. And we have to have all of the workbenches. There was a chemistry station upstairs. There's the other 3 workbenches here. And I actually have workbenches in each of the relevant shops. So I've actually got 2 of all the different crafting stations here, with the possible exception of the cooking station. I do have a cooking station that was heavily featured actually in the very first week's video, where Bob stared at the fire and contemplated the fact that he'd beaten a man to death earlier that day. And we have to have, actually, that's it. That's all. Oh, supply lines. I've got plenty of supply lines, just showed those. I've got most of the unique settlers. Sheffield was upstairs running the Nuka-Cola stand, and Drinking Buddy is right there, and the other 2 that I mentioned I was not able to get. So some more stats. There are 22 freestanding structures here at Starlight City. Now that is counting in the most conservative way possible. For example, this giant pile around the projector tower just counts as 1. There was a lot of work that went into this. I've got something like 380 hours on this character, and the vast majority of them were spent here building Starlight Drive-In. I build very, very slowly. There are 4 power grids here. Now, I will never be the wasteland architect that some people are. There are some really awesome builders out there that are much better architects than myself, and I will never be the decorator that Phoenix and some of the other great decorators out there are, but I do like to think that I am fairly good at electricity, and so that's why I say there's not just 1 power grid here, there are 4. 6, actually, if you want to get technical. There's a tiny one for my crane. There's a tiny one for the fireworks launcher up on top of the screen. There's Anne's house that runs kind of this side of the settlement, and my combination lock that I showed off earlier. There is the main power grid, which runs the money machine and all the shops in the corner over there, and the water purifier. There's my little generator that runs just my workshop and the settlement recruitment beacon, and the very last one is a fairly large grid that runs the hospital and Smiling Larry's gun shop. There are 10 generators. There are 66 switches. There are 6 speakers. There are 8 power counters. There are 15 logic gates. I have no idea how many lights there are, and a partridge in a pear tree. So if nothing else, yeah, I like to think that I've showed off some of the fun things that you can do with electricity in a settlement. Hopefully some of that will have some ideas for you in your settlements. Now, as far as showing some of the things from the weeklies in greater detail, I think I actually did a decent job during the weekly videos of showing off all of those different things. So I probably won't touch on those very much, but I did want to show some things that I had to cut for time. For example, I built a stable for Atlas over here, and I had actually trapped another Brahmin, was going to have a couple in here. They kept like trying to go to the same feed trough and clipping through walls, and so I loaded a previous save and just scrapped the idea. I had an idea about trying to do like a dairy or a ranch or something, but there were other people that were doing that. They were doing it better than me, so I scrapped it. The Scribe's Armor Workshop, I don't think there's a lot to say about this other than I thought it was a fun idea that Brotherhood guy that reveres technology would choose to build his armor shop around the remains of some very advanced technology. The workout room over here, I did want to show this off because I don't know that I was able to really show it exactly in the monthly video, but this is a working treadmill. The USO mod had treadmills in it, and I thought, you know, that's cool and all, but I want one that works. So I put a little electric eye switch here, and when you walk through it, the conveyor belt starts and you can quote-unquote run on this treadmill. It's really easy to do. I don't think it even requires a tutorial to show you how to do it. It's just power to the switch and then switch to the conveyor belt. Another gadget that I really wanted to mention was the decontamination arch. This I liked so much that I went and did a tutorial on it. It's not incredibly hard to build, although I'm not sure why it's on right now. It should be off. There we go. You can step through this, and red light is bad, green light good. Now you're decontaminated. I also liked the idea of having a scale. This is another thing that is super easy. It's just a pressure plate and some Nixie tubes. It does always read 189, I guess, unless we'll say it's 199 now. Bob's been eating too much mute fruit and radstag, I guess. As far as other things that I wanted to show around here, most of these are going to be some empty shacks, and I apologize for that. But I did want to record some of these just for myself, because sometimes when you use a lot of mods, that can get hard to come back to a settlement after you've left it for a while. A mod author will make a bad update or something like that, and that settlement's just gone. This is a barracks that was going to be for one of these Minuteman soldiers that I had around here, and this is an empty shack that is just a bed for, I can't even remember which character now. I really wish that Don't Call Me Settler was still available on console. It would have made it a lot easier to kind of keep all the characters around here straight. See if I can squeeze past Anne. There we go. This is another essentially empty shack that was cut for time and cut because I just couldn't decorate it. I was having too many crash problems. As far as other things to take a look at around here, let's see. We've got that, and we did that, and no, Smiling Larry's is probably the last thing that I wanted to talk about. It is, I know that the pathing works, and Larry comes up here because every time I come through here, that door is open. I always close it behind me, and yet I come through here and it's open. That means that Larry has, in fact, opened the door to come and approach his counter. So he's not just like warping here when I fast travel into the place. Really enjoyed this gun shop and the security system for it with the gun closets and the roll-up doors. Now, I will be the first to admit that that is not my original idea. I have seen that on the Schooled Zone, and I have probably seen it on some other YouTube channels as well. Same thing with this cabinet with the ammo in it, and unfortunately I lost my notes. I had intended to give proper credit to whoever I saw this from first, and I lost my note, and I feel really bad about that. If you look at this and go like, man, that jerk stole my idea, then drop me a comment. I will be sure to say something in a future video. So that is it. That is Starlight Drive-In, and I can hardly believe that it's over. It's done. Bob may have just a little bit more to say, and I hope you will stay tuned for that. Certainly there are a number of new subscribers to my channel, and I'm glad for those, but now that the challenge is over, some of those folks may choose to go away, and that's fine. I'm not doing this to get YouTube famous or anything. I like having fun building settlements and then showing them off to people. And as the sun sets, I'll actually point out this little set piece right here was something that I built for week 1 of the challenge. This is where Bob sat in front of the fire and contemplated the fact that he'd beaten the guy to death and got drunk and started down his journey towards alcoholism. I guess the very, very last thing that I want to show is all the way up here, and it'll be nice to kind of end where we began, because and this is my little fireworks launcher. There's not much to it. It's just some delay off switches, and basically it launches these things at a semi-random interval. But yeah, I think the very first thing that I showed in week 1 was the walls, like the wall that came across that side, and then I came up here and showed my little impromptu firing range. And you may or may not have noticed, but what was it, week 9 or 10 was when Bob fell off of the screen here. I came back here and I knocked all the bottles and cans over. Bob's a lot better shot than he used to be. So yeah, that's it. That is everything that I wanted to show at Starlight Drive-In. From here you can kind of see that I've got 2 main streets. There's this one right here, and there's another one that runs this way. And the idea of doing something that was so big that it had actual streets to it was really appealing to me. Did the place turn out exactly like I thought it would, or the way that I intended? No, like not even close. Am I happy with where I'm at? Yeah, I think so. There's still things that I look around here and see flaws here and there, things that I would like to change or fix or improve, but overall, I like it. I've kind of lost perspective on whether or not it's any good, but I'm happy. And I hope you enjoyed taking this journey with Bob and myself. If you did, be sure to subscribe, because there's a lot more content coming. I mentioned that Bob's not quite done, and then I've got a whole settlement that I recorded before I even started the challenge that I've just never released, because I was already doing weekly videos for the challenge, and I've got some tutorials planned on how to do some animated signs and some other stuff that are advanced electronics that I hope people will find useful. So there's plenty of content still to come. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, and if you didn't like, please tell me why down in the comments, and I will try so hard to do better for you guys next time. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.